All right, my name is Anne Feldkamp, and I am with Infobase. I'm the director of K-12 acquisitions, and I have with me today Richard Hoffmann, who is a filmmaker from
Hi,
Spring Garden Pictures. We're really excited to have him here today. Thank you, Richard, for joining us.
thanks for having me. Excited to share a little bit about our process for making watermelon magic.
And I appreciate you joining us from, is that your greenhouse that you're in?
Yes, it's a little warm in here today. I think it's like maybe 100 degrees in here, but so if I'm sweating, I'm sorry. But yeah, this is where we do some of the time-lapse filming.
It's exciting, and you have some of your equipment behind you as well. So today we're
Yeah.
going to talk with Richard about his film Watermelon Magic, a little bit behind the scenes of what it took to come up with the story, produce the film, as well as some of the techniques behind filmmaking itself. So I'm really excited to share this with you all. If you see me going back and forth, I'm just pinging the Facebook Live event to make sure we get your comments in. And so if you can hear us great and you see us, give us a like. I really would appreciate that. We're excited to hear from you. I have a lot of great questions for Richard, but I'm also excited to share your questions and comments with him. I know we have a lot of people that are hoping to join us that are big film buffs about the time lapse that you used and stop action, as well as many educators and librarians or parents that are interested in your film. So I'm really excited to share those questions with you. So we're looking here and we have some people that are already giving us some love. So this is great, Richard. It looks like we have some great people. So we have Zena and Lori who helped put this event together. So thanks, ladies, for helping this to come together. And I think we have some family and friends. I think my cousin popped in here yet. So we always love that kind of support. As we go through this event, obviously enter your comments, but we know a lot of you will be watching this as a later broadcast, but please feel free to leave those comments there as well. We'll be checking back and we'll make sure we can answer those and make sure we can engage with you, even if it's a later time. So definitely leave those comments below and we'll make sure we'll be pinging them throughout the course of the event. So let me tell you a little bit about Richard and why he's so amazing. And this is such an exciting event for me to have him here. So Richard is an independent filmmaker and has created a number of different films and won some great awards. So I know him through Watermelon Magic, which is this great film geared for young people to be used in the classroom or even in homes as we teach about germination and pollination. But there's also some great SEL topics in there of sharing and the responsibility of growing vegetables and fruit and things like that. So some really great topics. But you also made previous films, Invisible Mountains, which won Best Film at the DD Magazine Festival, Fridays at the Farm, which aired on the Sundance Channel, and Prayer for Philadelphia, which I'm seeing here, won the grand prize in the Philadelphia Inquirer. So this is not your first rodeo when it comes to filmmaking. Can you tell us a little bit about what got you interested in being a filmmaker?
Yeah, I'm not, well, I always wanted to be a storyteller. And when I realized that you could make films, then I started playing around and ultimately went to film school at NYU. And at that time, it was all film based. And there was some video, but the cameras weren't that great at the time. So everything was film based, and I always loved time lapse photography. And after I graduated, I worked at a stock footage house and, as an editor. So I would see a lot of stock footage coming in, and a lot of it was time lapse. And after I left New York and came back to Philadelphia, was kind of right around when digital video started taking off and digital still cameras started getting really good. And I figured out that you could make time-lapse films with these high-quality digital still cameras. And after I made Invisible Mountains, which was a feature-length film on digital video, I started to experiment with digital cameras. And right around the same time, my son was born, and we met some neighborhood friends, and two of the friends were farmers. And I'm sorry, I'm totally jumping ahead, but
No,
basically,
go ahead.
these I had never met farmers before. I grew up in the city in Philadelphia, and in 25, 28 years of my life, I'd never met farmers. So they had a community farm where you buy a share in the farm, and every week you go and pick up your vegetables. And so for me, it was really exciting, kind of learning about where food comes from and how it's grown. And I asked them, are there any films about this? This is really interesting. And they said, no, there's really nothing. We would love if you made one. So I got some funding from a local television station to make this film, Fridays at the Farm. And I decided if I would try something different. Here's Fridays at the Farm. Oh, I don't know if you can see that. And I wanted to see if I could make it entirely with pictures, with still pictures. So that's what I did. And I thought it would just be kind of this experimental film, and it played locally, but then won some awards in Korea and Japan at different film festivals, and was broadcast on the Sundance Channel. And at the end of the film, my daughter is born, Sylvie. And as she was growing up, and as I was seeing kind of the success of the film, of Fridays at the Farm, I really wanted to make something for kids that was like Fridays at the Farm, but fun and really geared for them, and touched a little more on the science of growing. And so that's when we started Spring Garden Pictures to make Watermelon Magic and other films that kind of cultivate community and connections to nature. So that's pretty much the short story of how we came to make Watermelon Magic. But the still camera was really kind of the key to it, because it allows you to take these really high resolution photographs of plants growing, time lapse. And I just love seeing, I never tire of watching, especially plant time lapse, because I just think it's so cool to see them. In our normal time, we see them, they look like they're just static. But when you speed time up, you see that they're actually moving and responding to their environment. And I just think it's really cool.
It is. It is. You've done a fantastic job with it. So I love the time lapse in the film. I know we've talked a lot about that, but it was really, truly engaging. And what struck me is, as I was watching it, I thought the quality was just so exceptional. And personally, I casted it from our service over to my living room TV, and I had my kids watch it at one point, just to see, hey, I'm really curious what their thoughts were. And they were glued. They were glued to it. It was such a great experience for them. But the time lapse was really exceptional. And it made me think of, we work with BBC as well. And every year they have this big conference, and they show their new, features, what they call their landmarks on these massive screens. And, it's this amazing experience. And I always think to myself, I wish I could transport every student here, because I feel like they would have just that amazing experience with science or just the world. And I felt like that when I was watching your film. The time lapse was so great. And it was interesting that when you told me about your time lapse camera.
Yeah, the guy. So I did some of the time lapse in the movie, and I've done a lot of time lapse. Usually that takes place over the course of a day. So some of the shots in the movie, it might be a sun passing over a field, but a lot of the shots in the film take place over a long period of time, and there's no way to really shoot those out in the field and get really good results, because the sun is always changing, there's weather, there's wind. And so we tracked down the one of the guys who does time lapse for the BBC's Planet Earth and Life series, and his name is Tim Shepard, and he lives in England. And I went and visited him, and and talked about this project and got him excited. Even though watermelons really don't grow in England, I sent him storyboards and seeds, and somehow he got these watermelons to grow in his studio. He built a set that mirrored the set that we had at the actual farm, and he was able to grow some watermelons. And some of the shots, I don't know if you want to play that one watermelon clip, but some of the shots, you know, take place over the course of a month or 6 weeks. So it is, and he is such an expert at doing that kind of filming. So he was a huge asset to help make it really special.
Yeah, and yeah, he did a fantastic job. I mean, to get that kind of talent is definitely amazing, and you can tell. Let me grab a clip from the film for you. As I grab this clip,
Yeah.
Richard, I realized we really got into the filmmaking side of it, which I can't wait to talk more about.
Right.
Before I show this clip, can you tell everyone what's clicking in the background behind you?
So we have a sunflower here, and this is a camera. It's a still camera, and it has this little computer, and this is called an intervalometer, and you can set how many pictures you want to take per minute, or every 5 seconds. And basically, depending on what you're filming, certain things take longer, like a flower opening might take a day or a couple days, whereas, you know, a seed germinating might take a half a day, or a watermelon growing really big might take 4 or 5 weeks. So I set this for every 2 minutes, and it's going to, I have a flash here, and it's just flashing to make consistent light over all the entire range of pictures. And basically, you have 24 frames in every second in a traditional movie. So you need 24 pictures to get 1 second, right? So I'm taking a picture every 2 minutes right now. So in the course of an hour, how many seconds roughly would I have? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Hold on, let me get out my Excel document. I only know how to do math with formulas. Sorry.
So,
okay, comment. This is a good opportunity for our mathematicians out there. Quick, put that comment in. Let's see who's going to be the best.
Yeah.
And I do apologize. I was queuing up the watermelon, so I was like not fully calculating that math. Let's see who's here. Okay, someone help us out with that math.
So if it's 1 picture every 2 minutes in 1 hour, and it's 24 frames per second, how many seconds in 1 hour? Roughly. It's actually not exact.
So once every 2 minutes, we're looking at 30 images in an hour?
Yeah. So it's a little more than 1 second.
Shouldn't have been that hard, Ann.
Yeah, a little more than 1 second.
That's really amazing.
Yeah, so but some of the shots, you know, you might only take 1 picture in an hour, or 1 picture every half hour. So you can see that it really, you know, you have to kind of gauge what the plan is going to do, or when the sun is going to set, and do a little bit of math to figure out what to set your interval at. But yeah, so, you know, the exciting thing to me partly about making this movie is that, you know, movies are just pictures. They're always just a series of pictures, and we don't really think of that. We think of them as moving. And really, the word movie comes from moving pictures. That's where the word movie comes from. So when we're filming the people in this movie, you'll notice that they're kind of like jumpy and staccato as they move. And like their lips don't always sync up when they're talking exactly. And it's kind of like a stop action animation. And I found that adults take a little bit longer to kind of get into the rhythm of it, but like kids, automatically, they just buy it. They're like, oh, this is cool, this is different. And part of the reason I think it works for the movie is that you see the plants moving, you know, super fluid, and the people are all staccato. So I think it helps reinforce, subconsciously that like plants are alive and people are alive too, but we just move at different speeds. So I kind of wanted to set up that dichotomy between how we normally perceive people moving and how we normally perceive plants moving. So it's kind of a fun.
You've done a great job of it. I have the film, I believe, queued up here. Let me share my screen, and we'll show a short clip from Watermelon Magic here. Let's see if the volume turned up here. It's got amazing music.
It's jumping a bit for me, but it's a little bit choppy, but
Oh, is it? Okay, sorry. And it probably is just a little bit of maybe the delay of the experience. Sorry, but you can watch the full film. Going to our site, go to infobase.com. You can sign up for a free trial, or if you're a current subscriber of Learn 360 or Just for Kids, you can log in today, search for Watermelon Magic, and view that. So I'm sorry it's a bit choppy. I should have gone, that would have been a better example when it came to the stop action maybe, rather than the time lapse. But as we're—
now that it's frozen on this clip, it's pretty cool. You can see the watermelon and you can see all the little hairs on the watermelon. Like before making this film, I didn't know that watermelons had hairs on them, when they were little. And you can also see the flower on the end of the watermelon just starting to shrivel up and fall off. And so the way also that we designed the film is that there's no voice of God kind of narrating the experience. It's all more just kind of an experiential. You're watching this happen. So you're watching the flowers, you're watching the bees pollinate it, but you're not hearing what's happening. So that was a conscious decision because we wanted to keep that story going and not kind of pull you out of it with somebody telling you what was happening. Because I feel like that's really, those are conversation points you can have later with a teacher or with your family. So, yeah.
No, that's a great point. And in fact, if I were able to show this and it played fluidly, you would see this watermelon blow up, and I can only compare it to like a water balloon. It happened so beautifully, and the image is great. And it's funny that you mentioned the watermelon here, is because as I watched that, my kids said, "Mom, that watermelon is hairy." And it was an interesting conversation for us to have because you don't really see that, and I'll go back to the beginning of the film here. And as I stop sharing, I think, if you're, most elementary students, especially here in the US, and teachers, everyone's planted that seed in that, styrofoam cup or that, egg carton. And, that's always the exciting moment when you come back from school, and that seed has sprouted. So you have that experience of nothing to sprout, where this film shows it, and it's like you said, it brings that action to it, and it makes them come alive, and it's so exciting, and it's amazing to watch, and I can't wait for everyone here to view that. It's so great. So we have some great comments coming in. People are saying that question about how many stills per minute would be, or per hour would be a good question for teachers to ask students. So maybe that's a great transition. So, this film is so rich with production. The music in it is fantastic. But the content is so engaging, whether or not it's in a home environment, but definitely in a school environment as well. I know your wife is a elementary science teacher. Did she help you at all with the curriculum, or was that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So my wife, this is actually my wife, and these are my two of my kids. Sylvie's the main character, and my other son Casper, who he's the older brother in the film, but and the father in the film is actually my friend Chris, who was a real farmer. He was the one from Fridays at the Farm. So, but my wife is a science teacher, and she helped develop this ed guide, which I know you have on the site, which has different activities and different vocabulary about plant germination and growing. And for her, she uses it first, second, and third grade, either at the beginning of a unit on plant development or at the end after they've learned a bit and done possibly some growing of their own to really reinforce and get excited about what they've learned. So there's a lot that you can do from this with math and even like some of the social emotional stuff that you were talking about. Her wand breaks early on in the film. She has this magic wand and it breaks, and she kind of has to deal with that and grow from being kind of an impish practical joker into being more of a caring and sharing young girl. So
yeah, you did a fantastic job. Yeah, for those of you that are just joining, the film Watermelon Magic is an exceptional film, and really it's about this young girl Sylvie, who is your daughter, and she plants a seed and it turns into, or she plants multiple seeds and then they replant them in the garden, and she nurtures the garden, has lots of little fun experiences, talking about watering the garden, and it has great kind of breakout scenes where she and her brothers or some friends are getting into a water fight. I love that Sylvie learned, every water fight, the person with the garden hose wins. So I like, I like that she included that. And then, you brought the whole process of how, these seeds are planted, the germination, the pollination. And then at the end, Sylvie harvests the watermelons and brings them to market. And we have some of that great, as you mentioned, that social emotional learning where she has to sell her watermelon babies. And it's a very sweet story. I'm not going to give away it because I will say, even though I know your target is a young audience, I fully enjoyed it. There was a part that was so sweet. It truly brought a tear to my eye. I know I'm guilty of being emotional, but it was very, very sweet, and just a great film for the family, for the classroom, and just you've done a fantastic job. And I think the true testament is then that takeaway, like your educator guide has so many great ideas and resources. I mean, planting a seed, that is something that maybe a lot of elementary teachers or parents do with their kids, but you've really broken it out and made it this experience. And I can say, in my personal experience, the cool thing was that the night that after my kids watched it, my son came to me and said, "Hey mom, do you have any seeds I could plant? I want to grow a garden." And I thought to myself, wow, Richard, you definitely got an A on that category.
Cool. That's so great to hear.
It was really cool. Yeah. And also, so your daughter Sylvie, this wasn't her first movie. I know she's been in previous film that you did. How was it working with family?
Oh, it's great, but it's also very difficult too, because they, they don't take any flack from me. So, and it's hot out there. So she was like, "Dad, only one more take." So, and she was young when we did it. So it was, but it was great because it was flexible and we could really respond to the weather what was happening outside, and we could kind of brainstorm, what would come next. We started out with an idea, but it definitely evolved as we were shooting the film. So she was a great contributor to the film, and has really gotten more into acting since then. So it's been a lot of fun.
It inspired her. So we have some questions coming in that I'm going to throw your way if you don't mind. One is a logistics question. How long is the film?
So it's we have a 30-minute version. That's the main version that we have on the Infobase site. So it could be played in a 40-minute, 45-minute classroom session. And we also have a slightly longer version of the film that's like 38 minutes, but the 30-minute is kind of the main classroom version.
We hear that from our teachers a lot, right? When I went to school, it was the AV cart came in and the lights went off and you knew that for the next 45, 60 minutes, that was what you were doing. But
Yeah.
thank God those days are over. Media is integrated just very subtly in a classroom, whether or not it's a 3-minute clip or something like that. So yeah, we definitely know that works better for our classrooms and teaching. So this is great. And I think kind of even think about where we're at with education today, which,
Yeah.
That's a big question mark, I think, for many of us. What I love about this is it brought that concept of germination so much to life that even if, let's say, the elementary teacher had this planned as an event that they were going to do last spring or something, I think this really can bring that experience very close to life for students or for children that couldn't do this in a typical classroom setting. So,
yeah, and you can take a Dixie cup, a little bit of soil and a sunflower seed and plant it by the window, and within a week it'll germinate, and so it could be used in remote learning, I think, pretty easily. I wouldn't necessarily try to grow a watermelon seed inside because they take over, but a sunflower or something else simple and small could be great. So you don't need a lot.
definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and I hope that anyone that is watching, I hope we've encouraged you to do that activity, maybe in your home with some young people in your life, or if you are planning this with an event, leave your comments, or if you've done that in the past, we'd love to see the pictures of whatever seed magic that you're creating in your home. We have a lot of people saying that you're going to inspire young gardeners, Richard.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so. It's so much fun. I have my garden growing right now, and like I have this Hubbard squash growing. I have a couple different varieties of watermelon, and every morning I go out and I see them getting a little bit bigger or something new pops out. It's really exciting and fulfilling, and I hope the film inspires children everywhere to not just learn a little bit more about how food grows and where food comes from, respect how difficult it is to grow food and the farmers and all the work that goes into it, and also just take better care of the earth. I think hopefully all of those things are part of the learning experience of this film, and what you can do on your own to connect. Such an easy, great way to connect with nature is growing a garden. So hopefully.
Well, and you make it very easy with the film. I can guarantee for those of you that are with us or that see this at a later time, you're going to watch it and it will inspire you. It will captivate you, the children or people that watch this. It's so fantastic. So you've done a great job. As we kind of gear up to close here, I'm curious, what's next for you, Richard? What are you thinking about doing next for a project?
So we're working on a project, a cooking show for kids called Seed to Snack. And basically it's for like a little bit older, like 8 to 10-year-olds, and kind of taking a vegetable and having a cooking show, showing and then having kids compete and cooperate to make the best snack out of a given vegetable. So whether it's kale or carrots or tomatoes or something else, we're planning to make this kind of fun, goofy show that also shows where the food comes from. So yeah, I'm excited. It's early stages, but hopefully it'll take off.
I'm sure it will. That's exciting. I'm going to ask something of those that are viewing, or like I said, if you're viewing this at a later broadcast, we're just kind of curious. I know we have people that might be interested in the filmmaking process, or maybe educators that are looking for some ideas for back to school. So for those of you that are with us, please comment. Let us know. Are you a parent, a teacher, maybe a librarian, someone that's interested in filmmaking? Probably some of my family that I bribed to coming here today. I didn't have to bribe them too hard. I just told them about this great film. So obviously we have a lot of people that are joining us interested in this. So hopefully we'll get some information from you. And also before we leave, I wanted to quick just spend a moment. I'm going to quick share my screen one more time, and just remind those of you that are our Learn 360 or Just for Kids subscribers. Go today, check this film out. You know, when you come to our site, we always have tons of great film from so many different producers. But to find Watermelon Magic, you're just doing that keyword search on our site, and you'll come to the film and you can view the entirety of it. And this is available on Learn 360 and Just for Kids. For those of you that don't subscribe to our services, and again, this is a subscription via your school or your district or library, you can go to our site, infobase.com, and please sign up for a free trial. Here is the film here, and you can check it out. The educator guide that Richard had as a kind of handout is available digitally there as well, so you can access that teacher resource here. So I really encourage you to log in today and view this on your own. Learn 360 does have a great feature that I find continually helpful, especially in this world of distance learning. You can cast content. So if you're opening this up, let's say on your computer, you can cast this to your TV, for example. I casted it to my living room TV so my kids could watch this on a full screen. So that works really great in a classroom or a library setting. So you can put that on a large projector or larger screen for them to watch. Cool. So that really helps to bring that great time lapse to life in a large way. So I'm going to say a huge thank you to you, Richard. Thank you to everyone that joined us. This has been so fantastic. I really hope that you'll join us for future events. I hope that we'll be able to have Richard back and talking more about filmmaking, what he's doing, and some of that great project you have in the future. But we'll be also talking to other producers we work with and finding out more about the films that we produce or that we provide and the stories behind them, because I think we all know the story is what captivates us, and hearing more about the story of Watermelon Magic, I think, is going to even make that film so much more magical for our viewers. So give us a like if you've enjoyed this film, and leave your comments, and we hope that you'll join us again for another conversation with a producer.
Great.
Thanks again, Richard, and stay cool in that greenhouse.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.